Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is April 4th, 2022. The time is now 7 o'clock p.m. I call to order a meeting of the Havre Grace Mayor and City Council. I'll call the roll of the council. Council President Glenn.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson. Here. Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Ringsacker.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
All council members are present and accounted for. Kindly join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. If I could please ask you to kindly remain standing for a few more moments. It gives me pleasure to invite up Robin Stokes of Ames United Methodist Church. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here.
Good evening, and thank you all for having me here. I'm also serve on your Susquehanna Ministerium here in Havre Grace as well. So let us just go into prayer. Lord, we thank you for, first just to say thank you, because not only did you wake us up, you brought us to this moment. You brought us through the day. And Father, we ask that all the decisions that are made in this room, Lord, today and further and from here on, that we all be on one accord, Lord, and it be of your will. We ask that you touch every family and organization represented in this building, Lord, that you may continue to guide them and let whatever has come to fruition. We are so grateful, Lord, for your love anyhow, and we ask that you just continue to go before us, go beside us, go behind us, and keep within us a clean heart. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Stokes, thank you so much for your time. Okay, we're going to move into item 5, approval of the minutes. This is City Council meeting minutes, March 21st, 2022. Council have a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zinner and seconded by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes from March 21st, 2022 are approved by Council 6-0 in the affirmative. Okay, we're going to go to item 6, comments from citizens. This is part of the agenda this evening. If you wish to speak on an agenda item or if you're here to speak on any other matter of city business, this would be the time to do so. And normally what I do is if anybody filled out a form to speak online or here when they arrive at City Hall, I will call on those citizens first, but then after that, I will just call on anyone in the audience at large who wishes to speak. So I have 2 forms filled out, and they're both by Mr. Kirk Smith. Good evening, Mr. Smith. Welcome. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kirk Smith. I live at 120 South Washington Street, Havre Grace, Maryland, 210-783-114.
Thank you.
I am up here in support of the resolution from the Tree Commission on establishing a Level 1 Arboretum in the city of Havre Grace. What is an arboretum? It's a dedicated plot of land, a focal point in the community devoted to the planting and preservation of native and other trees and shrubs. Arboretums allow residents and visitors to walk about and through our community while admiring the beauty and pageantry and majesty of living trees, plants, and shrubs. Currently, we have a non-designated arboretum in our city tree walk, which goes from Tidings Park down into Concord Park, will eventually end up at the Moore Family Homestead and back for a nice circle. There are over 40 trees that are actually labeled and ready to go, which makes this Level 1 Arboretum very simple. We actually have 42 shrubs and trees in the Todd Park Food Forest that are part of the city's green team, or the Havre Grace Green Team in the city, which could help us out in further arboretum levels in the future. There are 5 reasons to have an arboretum in the city of Havre Grace. One is to provide education. My favorite tree is the Liberty Elm tree. go through and you're walking through, when you find that one, that's the one I talk to. Conservation of endangered native trees and the critters who depend on them. We have a large number of native trees in our city tree walk. Public and local governments provide better care, more nurturing, and are more responsible for the maintenance of trees that are actually designated an arboretum. This is just a proven statistic from research online and from my visits out at the Beacon Hill Food Forest out in Seattle. Parents and grandparents and other caretakers can share their lore of established trees in the future. I laugh at this a lot because it's a personal joke, but I eventually want to be a chestnut oak tree. Be an urn, boom, chestnut oak tree, and 30, 40 years from now, some dad swinging their child on my branches, and the kid asks, "Daddy, why is this tree called Kirk's Nuts?" Lore. And as I said before, both the Todd Park Food Forest and the Havre de Grace Tree Walk along the Bandit Promenade are both supported by internet connectivity, one on the city website, the other one on the Havre de Grace Green Teams, which covers the tree species, the plants, their Latin names, and the history that's behind it, including their planting dates. In conclusion, my name is Kirk Smith. I'm one of your and our tree commissioners, and I speak for the trees. I wish that everybody here would support this resolution and get this Arboretum Level 1 for the city of Havre de Grace. Thank you so much for your time in this matter. I had some other questions, but I feel that it might be better to listen to what the city is proposing on this moratorium. I do want to point out that I'm not the only one who's noticed, but there's been in the last 2 years almost a $20 billion loss in the home industry for Airbnbs alone. I don't even know what the calculations would be for hotels. And when I did some quick research on that this weekend, I found 40 Airbnb reservation places in the city of Havre de Grace in our voting district. So please keep that in mind, and I'm sure you guys all have a great plan, or at least something to move forward on, and I look forward to hearing what it is. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for the pre-filled out forms. Anyone in the audience here to speak? Sir? Good evening and welcome. May you please have your name and address for the record.
My name's Charles Mike at 1413 Superior Street, Havre de Grace, my wife Tina.
Welcome.
Thank you. At the last council meeting, I want to start to get some clarification. At the last council meeting, we spoke against Ordinance 1066, and it was voted in. So I just want to clarify that with that being voted in, so that you list two areas that an open air market, farmers market could be held, and that's Hutchins Park or Congress Avenue between Washington and Market, and with no other alternative locations unless this ordinance is revised. Is that correct?
Yes, as it stands, yes.
All right, because we did see some advertisements already online for the farmers market down at Hutchins Park. So I know there's an order against having them there, and that's why you decided to move it up the street on the Congress. Now let me ask you this. After the arguments a couple of weeks ago, is there any consideration from anyone about any of the locations, alternative locations? Is there any serious consideration of moving that farmers market? Or are you going to go ahead and have it at Congress Avenue?
At the moment, I think the city's looking more into the open air markets.
What's the open air market, farmers market is the same thing?
Yes.
So you're not considering any other location?
Not Councilman Robertson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I really thought a lot about your proposal for the old gymnasium and that parking area and all there. I think, on a Saturday morning, that might be a little tough just because the games are going on across the street, and that area is used for parking, so pedestrian traffic is already kind of high at that time. But I'm amenable to finding other areas should the need arise. Right now, I think Hutchins Park is a good location for an open air market, but you know, like I said, I mean, I'd be amenable to changing that as well. It could be worth seeing how it operates, you know, this year, and then readjusting to a better, more suitable location. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Well, that's what we want to hear, your opinion, and that's why we brought this question up. That's also why we were sort of disappointed on two fronts. You know, we sent a letter stating our opinions and alternate locations to you guys 10 days, a full 10 days before the council meeting. And we were hoping you would have that discussion amongst yourselves before the council meeting, not at the council meeting like you had. And it seemed to us that Councilperson Zinner and Robertson and Ringsacker seemed to agree that that location on Congress Avenue is not the best, and that other locations, especially the high school, could, you know, be more suitable. And then you turn right around and vote 6-0 to accept it at that location. And that was, you know, sort of disappointing. So, well, it sounds like maybe we're making some progress here, and then, boom, nothing. It's like you're just following the lead and going with the status quo. And it's decisions like that that get us in trouble. I say us, I mean the city of Havre de Grace.
How so, Mr. Mike?
Well, you got this lawsuit going on. That's how so. I've spoken about that in the past, and you've admonished me that you're glad I'm not in power because I'd be giving away the city's rights. So that's not true. I'm bringing up a valid point on that lawsuit. It's costing us, we're probably well over $200,000 now of a citizen's money being spent on that. And I'm under the contention that that could have been handled so much better and worked out, and you would have been able to have your farmer's market down there. But it's not. Now it's in a big battle, and you say you think you're going to win the appeal. We'll see, but it's costing us money. And it's decisions like that and creating an ordinance like that, that costs us money. And I can go back and bring up the ordinance that you guys passed a couple of years back that cost us the hospital. All right? There's no way that you can tell a business how, you know, what you're going to have, what to run. And yeah, you smirk up there, but look at it. You sat here with Lyle Shelton in the room and had this ordinance written out of what that new hospital was going to include. And it's not what they wanted. So what happened? We know what happened. Our hospital is one of the major points of Havre de Grace, and it's going to be gone forever. Now, it's my opinion, our opinion, it's many people's opinions around town. Mm-hmm. But that's what it is. And why I'm up here, I don't know, maybe I'm.
Do you have a point to your comments, Mr. Mike?
Have what?
Do you have a point to your comments, or are we just having like a round table thing here?
Yeah, my point is
Here
that
to speak on.
when are you guys, the whole council, you're here to serve the citizens, all the citizens. You had 4 citizens last week speaking against this ordinance, and you passed it anyway. All right, did anyone go down and actually walk that street at the steep hill? Did anyone go down and talk to any of the property owners, business owners, property owners there? I'm assuming the answer is no.
I will say so. Well, the one thing is one of the suggestions you made was to send the farmer's market back to Pennington, where it used to be. That was
the third
That was the suggestion. And when you asked, did we talk to businesses? Yes, we did. When we moved the farmer's market from Pennington, most of the businesses downtown were ecstatic because their parking spots were taken up by the farmer's market, and the people that would normally shop at their stores didn't have a place to park. So they liked the fact that we had moved it. So, I mean, there was discussion there, and with some of the businesses downtown, and they'll tell you, unless they tell you something different than he told us, that, you know, they preferred not to have it on Pennington Avenue. So that's one of the reasons why I wasn't really willing to entertain that, because we try to help the businesses downtown as much as we can, and, you know, so that was my thought process.
Councilman Robertson?
Thank you. Ms. Ishak, wasn't the point of clarification made that for Congress Avenue between Washington, or I'm sorry, between Washington and then St. John and Market, the idea is not necessarily to close that street down during the open air market, but it's more to give the zoning authority for the businesses that exist to use food trucks? So namely Battery Island Brewery, because they had an issue using city property, right?
Yes, currently the city does not have a coherent policy on how to use the city right-of-way, including the areas that's not necessarily the street. So by encapsulating or incorporating that area, it now gives the city authority to have an open-air market, which could include things like a food truck, which Battery Island Brewery was looking for, but we didn't really have a way to do that because we already have our food truck ordinance, which allows food trucks down at Hutchins Park and by the Lock House. So this would give an added area, or even outdoor dining areas, which has also became popular. So the idea is that the open air market area would likely expand to other areas of the city, but this is kind of like I don't want to say a trial, but it's a way to set up a location that we already know works for certain things to see if we can expand it a little bit and get this idea of getting people out in the open.
So a point of clarification, I guess maybe Steve, this might be for you, but we're not looking to hold farmers style market on Congress Avenue from Washington Street to St. John's.
I've not seen any plans for that. Mr. Gamatori can speak better to that.
No, I just wanted to make sure that I was tracking that as well.
You're correct.
So, I mean, yeah, that was my understanding, was that this was something that, you know, establishing the definition of an open air market was the first step. And I could very easily see this going up Market Street, for example, between Congress and Pennington. You know, I think that could be a great place for vendors as well, and then that leads into downtown. It doesn't necessarily disrupt the downtown businesses parking. But I voted in favor of that legislation because, again, that provided the definition, and I think that the idea and the intent behind what we're considering as a farmer-style market and then the overall definition of the open-air market, I think meets what's been done previously, and I look forward to having the conversations to expand that. So now that exists, an amendment's a lot easier to take care of than a full ordinance. Just my opinion.
I think one of the things that, I don't need that. I think one of the things that we would encourage more of is a dialogue in advance of a decision or an ordinance written, whether it has to be amended. We were encouraged with the three that took lead in looking at possible alternatives, but we were a little disheartened when we left, and I made sure that I watched the video several times to make sure that what I thought happened, and where we needed to get clarification. But one thing I haven't heard, and this isn't the first time that I've not heard it, is that you reach out to those impacted more on the front end than the back end after it's done and everyone's upset. I think you've done a wonderful job with your listening charrettes for tool design and getting citizen input. I don't think there were a lot of people that participated beyond city folks when I look at the numbers and look at the population. But I think it was a great step to find out what folks want, treasure, value, not so much like, and then put those ideas together in a vision. I think the comment, Council Martin, that you made about the tool design project being a moot point with the open air markets because it's 3 years out is a little short-sighted for an effective strategic plan. Strategic plans, if they're executed well to fruition, have their success in the groundwork that's laid at every step. And part of that is the positioning and the behavioral change that you want folks to make. Well, you have a huge civic spine that you're talking about, and a trolley run, which you're hiring folks for now, and a more geographically central location for things like this that are so popular. Hutchins Park has been great for the farmers market, but it causes some distress to some personal property owners and some business owners. Had there maybe been some more discussion on the front end, we might not be where we are now. Attorney Ishak, you made a good point. Havre de Grace is a food desert on this side of Route 40. You're right. But downtown isn't real close, and I apologize, I don't know the real names of the neighborhoods, but what we all termed as the projects from years of long ago in Battery Village and those up on the hill, downtown is not a central location for them, for fresh food and open air. So I'm encouraging you all to have a little bit more dialogue with the folks impacted on the front end before perhaps you put ordinances in writing and vote for them for approval, so you don't get so much pushback from folks like us. It's because we care and others care that we want you to talk to folks. I would encourage you to ask your farmers market vendors. We're thinking about the possibility, or we might have the possibility, that we need to move this great opportunity. Where do you think it would work best? Because without the vendors, you have no farmers market. Do you do a walkthrough? Did you do those kinds of things? Maybe you do. If you do, they're kind of hidden from a lot of us. But I encourage you to have more dialogue on the front end before you make your decision and put it in stone. That's what we're asking.
I just want to remind you guys and everybody that we're bound by what's called the sunshine laws. So we have to, anytime that we meet as a body, we have to do it publicly. So, you may not always see us having conversations with folks because if we do as a body or outside of a committee, then we would have to call a public meeting. But that's kind of why I feel like, this would be a good year to evaluate all those things that you just mentioned, because when better to talk to the vendors than when the vendors are here, right? So I'm amenable to change.
And to your point, Jason, with interfering with the Little Leagues and everyone else who uses the field at Havre de Grace, I think the farmers market people would love that. That's just more business coming right to them. And you got a huge parking lot right there, and you got a big Pennington Avenue parking area. I just can't see why that wouldn't be an ideal spot. And it would get rid of your headaches and not cause anybody any problems, and it'd be a win-win for everybody.
Lastly, I would just like to say, because, again, in reviewing the last meeting several times on video, there were several comments about it is city property and we have the right to do what we think we want to do with city property. Not verbatim. And yes, the entire citizenry of Havre de Grace owns those properties. Because you have the right to do it doesn't mean it's always the right thing to do. Put yourselves in the shoes of those people that are living there and being inconvenienced, and just think about it from their perspective at times. I'll ask.
Okay.
Carolyn?
I just want to explain also, thank you, my vote last time as well. I understood it pretty much the way Councilmember Robertson did, especially with Ms. Ishak's discussion around a pop-up market, that it could really be anything. My impression is that this is almost, in a way, malleable in terms of the location based on what our experience becomes over the summer with the, I'm not in favor of Congress Avenue or Washington. I think it's too crowded myself. But if we're just talking a pop-up market and it becomes a food truck, that's different than a farmer's market. When I first read the ordinance, I was thinking only in terms of a farmer's market. So my thought process was much more structured in terms of thinking of traffic and volume and things like that, because I do remember when it was on Pennington and the street was closed and we didn't have very many vendors either. So the existing location is much better, but apart from any of the legal issues. But if we have to follow the ordinance and consider that it's a pop-up market, which can be almost any size, then I felt it was necessary to vote in the affirmative. So I just, since you questioned it, I wanted you to also have my interpretation.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, thank you. Thank you.
Do you have any other comments for us, or?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I had one last little comment to Mr. Horty and Mr. Martin, in reference to the Fund 9, Water and Sewer Fund. Have you guys ever looked into establishing what they call a special purpose stabilization fund for that?
Not to the extent I've seen them.
So that's,
About it, but not really much.
all right. Because that's something that, with all the federal money we have, you take 1 or 2 million of that and put it in this special purpose stabilization fund, which is a rainy day fund, and for whether it be the Marina Fund or the Water and Sewer Fund, that's an area right there that you can have some money stowed away for Mr. Whitty to use as he sees fit. Just an idea to look into.
It is, but unfortunately, the ARPA funds are not allowed to be put aside in reserves.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Anyone else in the audience wish to address the council? Okay, we'll move on. Item number 7, appointments. We have none. Item 8, recognitions. We have no recognitions this evening. Number 9, proclamations. We do have one proclamation. And I bet nobody here knew it was Flood Awareness Month, did you?
I read the agenda.
You read the agenda. Unless you read the agenda, then you'll know it's Flood Awareness Month. So, well, Flood Awareness Month is a very special thing in Havre, Grace, because sometimes we are prone to a little dampness in the city of Havre, Grace. So, City of Havre, Grace works very hard to mitigate a lot of the flooding issues around the city, especially on the shorelines and a lot of times with our stormwater management. We've taken great strides. And so City of Havre, Grace is going to present a proclamation for Flood Awareness Month. And I'd like to read this into the record, please. This is actually something we observe every year, so hang tight with me. Whereas the City of Havre, Grace has experienced severe weather in the past in the form of extreme rainfall, hurricane system events, or other events resulting in flooding along the Chesapeake Bay, and in our land streams, such as Lily Run, Gashies Creek, Fountain Run, this flooding has caused damage and flood losses to homes and buildings in all areas, whether they are high-risk special flood area or special flood hazard areas or to low-moderate risk zones. Whereas the City of Havre, Grace is a voluntary participant in a national flood insurance program that provides residents with the opportunity to protect themselves against flood loss through the purchase of flood insurance at reduced insurance premium rates, as well as setting higher regulatory standards to reduce the flood risk and potential flood damage to their property. And whereas a reduction of loss of life and property damage can be achieved when appropriate flood preparedness, control, and mitigation measures are taken before a flood. And whereas public education awareness of potential weather hazards and methods of protection are critical to health, safety, and welfare of residents, the City of Havre, Grace has declared the month of April 2022 as Flood Awareness Month to promote awareness and increase knowledge of flood risk, the availability of flood insurance, flood protection methods, and how to prepare for emergencies. Now therefore we, the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Grace, in coordination with Maryland Resiliency Partnership, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Flood Awareness Month in the City of Havre, Grace, and further encourage the citizens of Havre, Grace to increase their knowledge of how to protect themselves with their property and flooding. Signed by myself, members of council, and I'll present this to the Director of Administration. Now that we're all thinking about floods, now we're going to go to item 10, presentations. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a young lady who's about to give a presentation who I've known for a very long time, And she came to me well over a year ago with a fantastic idea for a project to be taken down at Tidings Park. And her name is Ellie Andreen. I'm going to ask her to come up and tell us all a little bit about her project. Welcome, Ellie. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Martin and City Council members. My name is Ellie Andreen. I am a junior at Havre High School, and I am a local Girl Scout working towards achieving my Girl Scout Gold Award, which is the highest award a Girl Scout can earn. In order to earn my Gold Award, I must complete an 80-hour project advancing a cause I am passionate about. For my project, I am hosting a disability awareness and pride event at Tidings Park on July 30th, 2022. Advocating for the disability community is my passion and purpose in life. I dream of living in a world where disabled people are treated equally to our non-disabled counterparts. I myself have cerebral palsy, and I feel strongly that it is not a detriment to my life, but rather has given me a more nuanced and interesting life experience. I believe that diversity and disabilities are beautiful. Disability is something to be celebrated, not looked down upon. The whole purpose of this event is to celebrate the accomplishments of the disabled community and highlight ways that society can become more accessible and accepting. I'm not just highlighting cerebral palsy, but rather any and all disabilities. I'm going to present with several of my friends who have a variety of disabilities, and following said presentation, we walk or wheel along the promenade. The disabilities in this presentation group are ranging from epilepsy to cortical vision impairment to cystic fibrosis to Williams syndrome. We have all our bases covered. And we've all accomplished so much in spite of our challenges. We are strong, intelligent, talented, capable people who deserve to be represented in a world that is not always ready to hear disabled voices. Society is integrating more minority voices, and disabled people now have the platform we need to advocate for ourselves. I really appreciate the city's support and passion to create an accessible environment, and I would appreciate any resources the city has to offer to help me launch this event. To me, accessibility goes beyond Braille and wheelchair ramps. Accessibility, to me, is a world where disabled people are given equal opportunities to thrive alongside non-disabled people. I look forward to contributing what I can to this cause, and this walk is an amazing step. We will have a variety of resources at the event, displaying services available to families with disabilities. Disabled and non-disabled people alike will enjoy this event. It will be educational, entertaining, and just plain fun. My message to anyone watching this and to the City Council is to support this event however you can and come if you're able to. It is so important to include people with disabilities in all aspects of life, and I encourage everyone to support people with disabilities. Thank you.
Ellie, thank you so much. Well done. Council, any questions for Ellie? Councilman Robertson.
Hey, good job, Ellie.
Thank you.
Can you remind me what time on July 30th?
9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
9 to 11. Okay, and have you already submitted an event application for that?
Not yet,
Not yet.
but we'll,
Okay,
That's our next step.
we're on it.
awesome. Well, thank you for letting us know, okay?
Jim?
Ellie, outstanding job. I've built my entire career around disability with Social Security disability and Maryland disability determination services. And I tell everybody I love being a Shriner, and you know, we support the disabled kids that we can and try to make them feel as inclusive as possible. And I'm going to do my best to try to bring some Shriners up for this event.
Thank you so much.
Outstanding.
Council President?
Ellie, awesome presentation. And I got to tell you that anybody that's either sitting in here tonight or watching this presentation, there's one thing that he cannot question, and that's your passion. Your passion came out strong, clear, and because of that, I have no doubt your event's going to be nothing but a success.
Thank you.
Well job. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Any comments? Mr. Grimm?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would suggest that you reach out to the Miracle League of Harford County. I work with them, and they're a great organization that gets kids out on the baseball field with disabilities.
Oh, yes.
So
I have heard of them.
I'm sure that they would like to be a part of that.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Ellie, I'm very proud of you, and I've enjoyed our meetings in my office trying to game plan this project, and I remember talking about coming to council and letting everybody know. So this is the first step. So now everybody knows about your project and the scope of it. We now know the date. We'll be working with you on an event application, and the city will provide all the services we can give you on July 30th to make sure that's successful, and as well as we'll put some social media output to help you out. So we're behind you 100%.
Thank you.
And we're very, very proud of you, and thank you, family, for everybody being here tonight. Thank you. So, any other questions for us? I'm sorry, Casey?
So hopefully this will be not a one-time event, but something that'll live in perpetuity.
Yes,
Yep.
I plan on doing it this summer and the following summer, but I'm a junior this year, so after summer 2023, I will be going off to college, and I will be handing this responsibility over to the city to take it over while I'm...
Good for you.
And you're going to come back and you'll be sitting among us at one point, I hope, too. Okay.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like, thank you. Thank you, Ellie. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, very, very, very well. Council, we're going to roll into item 11 on the calendar. We got resolutions this evening. We have two calendar resolutions this evening, and the first one deals with an MOU. And I'm going to hand that off to Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to introduce calendar resolution concerning an MOU with the Havre Grace Arts Collective.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Council President, seconded by Councilman Ringsacher. This is to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce calendar resolution concerning a MOU with Havre Grace Arts Collective carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be Resolution 2022-09, 2022-09, a resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and Sections 33 and 34 of the City Charter to authorize the Mayor to enter into and execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Havre Grace and the Havre Grace Arts Collective for the management of the Cultural Center at the Opera House. Council, I have a motion to adopt calendar resolution 2022-09.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilman Ringsacher. Questions or comments? Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an old MOU that truly needs updating. The update will include, at a minimum, getting the city out of the concession business for these events, and it'll also require quarterly updates to keep the city apprised of the revenue stream. With the improvements made above the number 2 firehouse, this thing should help improve the revenue stream for those type of events, and we're just going to ask for quarterly updates to ensure that we're moving in the right direction. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Any other questions or comments? Council have a roll call coming on Resolution 2022-09. Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, calendar resolution 2022-09 is adopted by council. Item B, calendar resolution concerning municipal tree commission application for level 1 arboretum designation. Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I make a motion to introduce calendar resolution concerning the municipal tree commission application for level 1 arboretum designation.
Second.
Council have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is the motion to introduce resolution. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce resolution carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be resolution 2022-10, 2022-10. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland and sections 33 and 34 of the city charter, authorize the City of Havre Municipal Tree Commission to apply for level 1 arboretum designation. Council, to have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, as I brought up in my comments at our last meeting, this is an initiative from the Tree Commission. We would like to establish a level 1 arboretum in recognition of the already existing tree walk that's been in existence in our Tidings Park area for a long time. As we do more and more work throughout the community, we see more and more opportunities to promote and educate the citizens about the importance of trees, the right tree to plant in the right location, and the maintenance thereof. We think this is a great first step for doing it, and we would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Councilmember Martin.
In addition to those comments made by Councilmember Boyer and Kurt Smith earlier, the Maryland legislature is also moving forward with more legislation and more funding for the planting of non-invasive and more native trees. So it helps with our stormwater management when we can pick trees and plantings that will go into that. So we're looking at stormwater abatement as well as a natural improvement of the tree system, and we are a tree city as well. So these are things that would actually improve the city of Havre de Grace.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? Without any further questions or comments, I'll do a roll call vote on Resolution 2022-10. Councilmember Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in affirmative, calendar resolution 2022-10 is approved by council. Thank you. We'll go to item 12 this evening is going to be ordinances. We have 2 ordinances, one for a second reading and one for a first reading. Item A, ordinance 1071, 1071, concerning approval of agreement of a strip of property adjacent to Lewis Lane. This is going to be a second reading, and I'll hand this off to the chair of DPW. It's going to be Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. I make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1071 concerning approval of agreement for a strip of property adjacent to Lewis Lane for second reading and adoption.
Council, have a motion by Councilmember Zinner. And have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Ringsager. This is a motion to introduce ordinance 1071 on second reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance 1071 on second reading carries 6-0 in affirmative. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, sections 5-204C 1, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of approving and ratifying an agreement between VVV, LLC, and the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, and accepting a strip of property adjacent to Lewis Lane near the intersection of Revolution Street to facilitate a public works project. Council, I have a motion to adopt.
So
Ordinance
moved.
1071 on second reading.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Ringstocker. Questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to reiterate my comments from the last meeting where we discussed this. This property is being deeded by the corporation to the city of Havre de Grace, and it's, in my view, a benefit to the city in terms of the stormwater management enhancements that it will help the Lily Run area, and also the right turn lane onto Revolution Street, that having this extra plot of land will facilitate. So I ask my council members to give me an affirmative vote on this particular ordinance.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Okay, council, we'll do a roll call vote on ordinance 1071. Second reading. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringstocker.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1071 concerning an approval of agreement for a strip of property adjacent to Lewis Lane is adopted on second reading. Item B, ordinance concerning temporary moratorium on short-term rentals. This is the first reading, and I'm going to hand that off to Council President. Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to introduce ordinance concerning the temporary moratorium on short-term rentals for first reading.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Council President Glenn, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on first reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce an ordinance concerning a temporary moratorium on short-term rentals carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be known as Ordinance 1072, Ordinance 1072. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article, and the land use article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, to establish a temporary moratorium on the approval and issuance of permits within the city's municipal limits for short-term rentals. Council, I have a motion to adopt on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, second by Councilman Robertson. Questions or comments? Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this moratorium is to give the planning department time to research and evaluate the appropriateness of the land use restrictions as it relates to short-term rentals. The focus includes evaluating the impact of short-term rentals on existing neighborhoods under current zoning restrictions. And again, this moratorium is for a period of 6 months.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Start with Councilmember Martin.
Mr. Mayor, Council, and the Planning Department, in this definition, it would be nice to see if we can come up with a legal definition to describe an Airbnb. That seems to be one of the hardest difficulties a lot of municipalities are having, as well as the state of Maryland, is coming up with a true definition of what an Airbnb should be listed as. Thank you.
Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Yeah, the nexus of this is Airbnbs, short-term rentals, and all of the other apps that exist that do this same thing. And as Kurt Smith pointed out earlier, there are more than 40 in the immediate area available right now. Back when I first considered this issue, maybe 6 years ago, there were 2. So, you know, we've grown exponentially, and that's just the ones that you're tracking or that you're available to see on one app. And speaking with Shane, you know, it really makes a lot of sense to take a pause and get our hands around this so that we have the approval authority and the enforcement authority provided to the city. Because, you know, this is becoming, obviously the need exists in our area for short-term rentals. We don't have a boutique hotel or anything like that. And we have a lot of folks that want to come here for weddings and for events, you know, so they need places to stay. I understand that the need exists, but I also understand that we need to balance that with the citizenry and affordable housing and ensuring that our citizenry doesn't get priced out of the area, which is happening to a lot of municipalities now. It's really interesting when you look at some of the larger cities, like whole apartment complexes are being bought out and just rented out for Airbnbs, and the municipalities losing. Not only is it creating a homeless problem because people are priced out of those areas, but it's also a huge loss in hotel tax and all of those other things that municipalities really depend on. So I'm just going to say this is one of the many, many reasons that the city's going to miss you, Shane. So you need to reconsider, man.
Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Several months ago, I had an opportunity to listen to a Zoom call on short-term rentals. And the area that they were talking about is really not like our area. It's Deep Creek Lake, which has 4-season rentals. They have large homes, they have condos and things like that. But they had 5 industry experts on the call who could talk about some of the challenges in short-term rentals. And I found it very interesting. It was one of the fastest hours I think I spent trying to scroll my notes and things like that. So I looked up my notes and I found some things. There was one individual that talked about safety. And some of the things he talked about is who's staying at my house? So that's something to consider. Or what happens if there's an insurance claim? So what he said was that 3.1% of reservations have a claim. 1% is for negligence, which is an accident. The claims are usually around somebody not being happy with the rental, that sort of thing. The other person on the call was a long-term realtor, family real estate business, who owns property in Deep Creek Lake, and also has many rental facilities. So she's the president of the organization. So she was kind of the lead person that got the call together. Another person was a city manager, a former city manager and council member, and he indicated that they have a high level of compliance with their codes. They use property managers professionally, and that increases the efficiency. So the property managers get the call, they get the rental taken care of quickly. They also work with the insurance company to make sure that the safety concerns are handled, as well as any code issues. There was also a code enforcement officer who also said that they got all the stakeholders involved from the beginning. And I think that's the message for us, that if we're going to go into this area and delve into it, we just really need to get the stakeholders available. Some of them are very small and maybe don't feel like they need a property management company, but others may really welcome it. And then to Councilmember Robinson's point, there was a person who did travel data, and he reported that at one time, these were a hard sell, but now there's so many, the industry has grown exponentially. But the rental increases in short-term rentals and length of stay has increased. It's 4.2 days average for houses and 5.1 days for condos. And I didn't get the number of length of stay for hotels, but this outpaces the rentals in hotels. So I think for the city, it may be a good fit, may not be, but I think it gives us an opportunity to look at some of the codes that we might have for some types of businesses, see that they don't fit, but other types of codes might fit for the short-term rental, and also to be able to interact with all the stakeholders as well as the platforms, because it's not Airbnb and not VRBO. It's probably ones we can't even think about. And I do know that there's a lot of, I've gotten, I don't know how many letters about, do I want to sell my house or do I want to sell my condo from venture capitalists and people like that. And I know they're just going to, they want to lowball me and then rent it out or resell it or something like that. So I think for some of these places that are running B&Bs, the benefit, the financial benefit is apparent, but if it can keep it in the true owner's possession and we can involve all the stakeholders and come up with good rules and regulations, then the compliance will be there, especially if we can meet the majority of the people who own the short-term rentals. So that's my contribution for this evening.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinn.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the comments. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Council, this is a first reading vote on Ordinance 1072. So we're going to go ahead and do a roll call. Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Council President Glenn?
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
By roll call, 6-0 in the affirmative, City Ordinance 1072 is approved on first reading. Council President, we're going to need a public hearing date on that.
Let's
Would you like
shoot
to do that
for
next meeting.
April 18th at 7 p.m.
Okay, April 18th at 7 p.m. will be the public hearing for Ordinance 1072, which will be right preceding the regularly scheduled City Council meeting. All right, thank you, Council. Item 13, old business. We have no old business this evening. Item 14, new business. We have a couple items on new business. We have two special events, and I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Gamatori, Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you, just two this evening. The first one is the Havre Grace High School Boosters 5K Run. This is a 5K along our normal track around the city. It'll be a registered 5K walk and run. Setup is on the 14th of May. The event will start at 8 a.m. It'll be over right around noon on the 14th. The event will start both and end at Tidings Park. There will be a food giveaway down at the location for the runners when they, prior to running and then post-run. Copy of the map and the route is in your packet, as is the state transportation permit. And then the last page you'll see is the worksheet for DPW and the police department. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. Council, I have a motion to approve the Havre Grace High School Music Booster 5K.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, second by Councilman Ringsager. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Motion to approve, or I'm sorry, the vote to approve Havre Grace High School Music Booster 5K for May 14, 2022 is approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The second event application tonight is the 59th Annual Havre Grace Art Show. It'll be sponsored by the Friends of Concord Point Lighthouse in partnership with Art Union. The date of setup will be on the 21st. The actual event will be on the October 22nd and 23rd. The times are listed 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. There is not a rain date for this event. However, the organization has contracted with the former gym and auditorium, high school gym and auditorium, as a venue for a rain date, so that that will be a possibility if the weather is inclement. And they would make that call prior to the event. With the location, there is location maps within the packet at both Concord Point and Tidings Park. There will be parts of the swale that'll be used. We'll coordinate that with the marina so the trailers aren't parked that day. And we'll also coordinate with the Department of Public Works to turn the sprinklers off that weekend inside the park. Street closures are listed, pretty much the same as what we see normally down at Concord Point Park. There is some temporary blockages on Commerce Street during setup. And then at the end of your sheet, you'll find end of your packet, you'll find the costing sheet. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. Council, I have a motion to approve the 59th Annual Havre Grace Art Show. Motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments on the art show? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against it say nay. Motion to approve the art show carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Council. Thank you, Mr. Gamatori, but we're going to go to Director's Report, and we're going to start with Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one very important note, the city's election will be held on Tuesday, May 3rd at 7 a.m., starting at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. across the street at the former Havre de Grace High School Auditorium and Gymnasium. It'll be in the gymnasium section. We just want to encourage voters to come out, although this is an uncontested election this year. It's a little different, and there is no referendum vote. But we will hold the election as normal, and we look forward to the candidates coming out and the voters to support them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. We're going to go with Mr. Grimm, Director of Planning. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, citizens. Just want to kind of just clarify on the short-term rental ordinance. Thank you for taking that up. The Department of Planning, amongst some council members as well, talking about this, we've identified that there is some issues that we would like to address. I want to be clear that this is not to stop any short-term rentals. It's really we're embracing it. We do need that type of use in this city, but in order to level the playing field with bed and breakfasts that have had to go through special exceptions and Board of Appeals processes, we want to level the playing field and make sure that everybody is playing on that same field. And also we want to provide regulatory guidance for those matters so that we make sure that the facilities that are being proposed are safe and they aren't a nuisance in the community. Personally, I believe that any use next to someone in a residential community where there are transient people coming and going, I think it's appropriate for a public forum in order to be able to have those neighbors know what is coming in beside them. So we really are embracing short-term rentals. We just want to, again, level the playing field, and I look forward to working with council on that as we move forward. I have done some research, and in the Poconos, I believe it is, maybe Ms. Stishak can help me with this county, it's Monroe County? I think it's Monroe County. I spoke with the planning director in Monroe County about an ordinance that they prepared, and it was received very favorably. I think they have 26 or 28 municipalities in Monroe County, and I think all but 2 of them, he said, as of a couple months ago, or actually sometime last year, all but maybe 2 of them had not adopted that ordinance in some form. So I have been working on that and looking at that, and be happy to, once we get to those steps, to discuss any of those matters or that ordinance with you all. So I appreciate that. On the permit front, we are doing pretty good. We still are receiving a number of permits, Bully Rock kind of leading that charge. We are getting closer with other projects like Scion Hill Estates, which is on the green property. That's phase 1. And we will probably be seeing the plats for that project in the near future. So we're going to see over 100 lots there. I anticipate the absorption rate, if the economy continues to roll along, to be pretty quick on those. I mean, as we saw Scenic Manor move along, I anticipate that that project will move along as well as seeing additional phases on the green property come through in the near future as well. I'm also very busy. Right now, the Department of Planning is very busy with additional subdivisions coming in within Bully Rock. Parcels N and H have come in for review. We're looking at, I believe it's May 9th right now, to schedule those before the Planning Commission, and also do have a couple Board of Appeals cases coming up on April 28th in these council chambers. Both those meetings with the Planning Commission and Board of Appeals are now at 6:30. One was previously at 7, and people would get confused. So both meetings of the Planning Commission and Board of Appeals, 6:30 in these council chambers. And I think that's all I have for this evening. Thank you, sir. And thank you for the floodplain management. That's very important to this city. And as I always do, I give shout out to Marissa Willis for all her hard work in saving our citizens money on their flood insurance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grimm. We appreciate it, and appreciate the thorough update. Thank you. Well, good evening, Ms. Johnson, Director of Economic Development and Tourism.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens at home. A quick update from my department. The quarterly Havre Grace Business Beat was released on March 30th. I'm sure everyone received it. We have received great feedback and support for the newsletter. If anyone did not receive the newsletter that is watching tonight, you can sign up on our Facebook page, Instagram, or contact me here at City Hall. We are looking to increase our membership. We are currently proceeding through the procurement process and securing a design and build firm to renovate our visitor center on Pennington Avenue. The goal is to award a contract to a deserving company during the month of April, with renovations to start this summer. During the renovation period, the visitor center will be temporarily relocated to 203 North Washington Street in the location previously Amanda's Florist. The consultant to the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, Wanda Boker, submitted a grant application to the Economic Development Administration, the EDA, in December 2021. Last week, we learned that our application was approved for a grant in the amount of $437,000. The grant comprises 4 projects. One is a transient pier at the end of Green Street. The second is a footbridge to connect the last section of our walking trail through the Chesapeake Industrial Park to Swan Harbor Farm. The third is the addition of 2 EV charging stations at Tidings Park. And the fourth is a 24-passenger electric shuttle bus to transport people from the downtown to Susquehanna State Park, Stepping Stone Museum, the Park and Ride, the community center, and back to the downtown area of the city. That was a major win for the city of Havre de Grace. That is the largest grant ever received in the Department of Economic Development. We're super proud. Thank you. We are also in the process of completing and submitting our Sustainable Maryland recertification application, and we are simultaneously completing our Maryland Sustainable Communities application. Both are due on June 30th. First Friday seasons begin on Friday, May 6th. Our First Fridays are very successful. We look forward to welcoming visitors and residents into the downtown. We are still accepting applications, but space is limited and going fast. If anyone listening is interested, please contact our visitor center, 410-939-2100. Last week, we met with representatives from Visit Hartford to discuss future partnership and sponsorship opportunities. We look forward to submitting joint grant applications with Visit Hartford to the state for tourism programming and marketing projects. The city of Havre de Grace is unique in that we have the only visitor center in Harford County, which positions us to take advantage of projects as marketing projects as well as capital improvement projects. And last but not least, Explore Havre de Grace is our tourism website for a list of all upcoming events. The calendar is updated, and again, it's explorehavredegrace.com. Any questions? Thank you.
Well, Ms. Johnson, we're super proud of the grant that your department earned, and looking forward to spending it.
Gotcha.
I know if Mr. Seipelt was here right now, he'd say thanks a lot. So No, but thank you for the great news and all the work your department's doing. It's fantastic. And to handle that grant money, let's go to the Director of Finance, Mr. Doherty. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Before I give the status of the city's funds, I want to pick up the discussion that came about from Mr. and Mrs. Mike. My answers were a bit abrupt, and I think for the benefit of those who may not have been involved in kind of the history of some of the stuff that we've been involved, I'm going to just take a couple of minutes to kind of circulate what we have done and what we are continuing to do. Mr. Mike mentioned about a rate stabilization fund, and we kind of looked at it back when the Black and Veatch study came out as an operating and capital reserve. It's basically a pool of money that keeps you from having to go to the market when you may not want to, and trying to avoid any drastic rate changes. I know that the Water and Sewer Commission, ever since the Black and Veatch study, has addressed this at least every year in some form and discussion. And what we've always come down to is we need to build our revenue base to have so that the citizens aren't getting an advanced rate hike in order to build this fund. And that's what is kind of driving the way we're thinking about this. The ARPA, unfortunately, we looked at it very quickly, and we're quick to deduce that we're not allowed to use those funds to create or expand a reserve. Those funds must be contracted by the end of 2024 and actually spent by the end of 2026. So it would be a very short-term reserve addition if we were to try to use it for that, which is not the nature of what those funds are about. They're long-term. And so, as I said, our long-term approach is to grow our customer base with the addition of Aberdeen and operations like that, so that we can minimize the impact on the individual ratepayers and try to develop the fund more over time and naturally. And I just wanted to make sure, Mr. and Ms. Mike, if you're listening, I didn't mean to be just so curt with the we can't do it. And we always welcome new ideas, and believe me, what we get from the Water and Sewer Commission every year, we have some great thinkers on that group, and they are a great asset to the city. Now to my regularly scheduled program. The general fund is currently sitting at just over $5.75 million, and we're a little over $2.3 million ahead of the schedule. The usual suspects continue to be the usual suspects. We started the year a little bit under 1.35 million ahead. Salaries and benefits are running because of vacancies and we'll call it deliberate replacement of people. Is running just under $750,000 ahead of schedule, and our real property taxes are running $137,000 over budget, over our budget expectations. To account for that, how we're doing so well compared to what we expected to do. The Water and Sewer Fund 9, the fund balance is sitting a little over $300,000, which is just over $1 million increase. The operating profit to date is just under $1.4 million. We've added a little over $3 million in capital fees and drawn down on our bond to about $2.25 million from the bond. And on that, we have spent a little over $5.6 million between capital projects and debt service already out on the books. And for the Marina Fund, the fund balance is sitting at $303,000. It's a $650,000 decline for the year. The Marina's actually got an operating profit this early in the year of $260,000 plus. And the reason the fund has declined is because we've been doing all that dredging, and we spent a total of $900,000 in capital projects, bringing the fund balance down, but for necessary infrastructure. And that's the current condition of the funds, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Mr. Horty, thank you very much. We appreciate the update and the explanation. We're going to go to Mr. Whitty, the Director of Public Works, What's happening in Public Works, Mr. Woody?
A lot of things are happening there.
I'll say.
Mayor, thank you. I never figured that out yet. So just to talk about the paving, so we've completed Erie Street and Clark Road has also been completed. We're going to start on Seneca next week, and then we have to finish up St. James Terrace once the Baltimore Gas and Electric companies finish putting the gas mains in. I've talked to Joe, see what available funds are that we have left afterwards, and I'll get with you, Mayor. Maybe we can apply it to something, another project. We're moving ahead with we've had notices to proceed, and we've met with the contractors for the Lafayette Street Rehab and the Erie Street Rehab and Replacement. Water main project Aberdeen is going to be starting next week. National Guard Pump Station and Force Main, we did award that to the contractor, and they're getting ready and ordering supplies and materials, and we're getting ready to get that project started. The Bully Rock Tank Rehab project has been awarded, and we'll be issuing a notice to proceed shortly. The Scum Line project, which is a reworking of the pipe system at the wastewater treatment plant, that will improve the efficiency of the wastewater plant. The plans have been, specs have been completed, and we're moving ahead with a request for proposal for contractors. Wilson Street water main projects to start next week, and the last water line there to be replaced is going to be Green Street by Gettner. We are working, the last issues working with the wastewater treatment plant is the SCADA, so we had a meeting last week to get all that coordinated, and we're moving ahead with that project between the contractors and GHD, get that project completed, and once that's done, the construction of the water treatment plant will be completed. And as mentioned about the Lewis Street, that project, met with the contractor, been in contact, he's got the supplies and materials, and he should be starting that project next week for the correction at the intersection. I do need to get the State Highway Administration and try to coordinate with them, because they're supposed to put in a crosswalk there, and I got to get a hold of somebody from the state to see how we get that crosswalk coordination with their installation of their project. And then finally, the Marina project, that has been awarded, but we're just waiting on, we're several months out waiting on the tank with supplies. It's going to be several months, several weeks before we can get that project started due to the back orders of the tanks. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Councilmember Mark?
I have just one question. One question follow-up. On the wastewater treatment plant, I know there was a study, or you were in the process of getting a study done on how to repurpose the gray water. Where do we stand on that?
Well, we started out, we've got that project that was awarded the EA Engineering, and they started out, we've got like a preliminary use of potential users, but right now we are we're holding off till next year to see how we can restructure for funding. So we've had to put that project sort of on the back burner and restructure our funding for some other projects.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woody. We appreciate it. Thank you. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The last time we met, I spoke about some traffic issues and DWI. Well, I also want to circle back around because the thing I want to discuss tonight, very easy, the stop sign on St. John Street, right there by North Washington Street, or as we know as 5 Points. There is a small sign there that does indicate that you are not allowed to make a left-hand turn from St. John Street onto North Washington Street. So I just want to remind people about the sign and to pay attention to it, because we have been writing traffic tickets about, following the signage. So again, folks, please pay attention to that. I think some people aren't even aware that it is there, but it is a legitimate sign. Yes, ma'am.
Can you offer the way that you would rather see people get to go to that direction then?
The best way to go, well, again, a lot of it does depend on where you are coming from. And unfortunately, a lot of the times we see it's folks that are not familiar with the area that just simply they're just not aware of the sign, or they don't see the sign, or They're just not sure how to navigate that. If you're uncertain, I would still go down just a little bit farther and turn around and come back. Or again, come down, if you're coming from Market Street onto St. John Street, you can always cut over to Pennington and then make that turn, or go left or right wherever you need to go to on Washington Street. So, no problem at all. The other thing that I want to remind folks about, and normally I mention this during the winter time because this is when we normally see people leaving their vehicles unattended, but we actually did have a motor vehicle that was stolen because the the owner of the vehicle left it unattended. He did, I think, what a lot of people do. He had the car running, he ran inside to drop something off or pick something up, I can't remember right off. And while he was in the house, he might not have been there for very long, but somebody took advantage and took the opportunity to steal the vehicle. We were able to recover it not too far from where it was stolen. But nonetheless, I wanted to just remind people, don't leave your car running unoccupied, unsecured, whether it's wintertime, summertime. You just can't do that. The other thing I also want to remind people, because we've seen this as well in the last couple of weeks, people leaving their vehicle, again, unoccupied and unlocked, and leaving their vehicles, the keys to their vehicles inside the vehicles. So don't do that, please. It doesn't take a whole lot to find out where you stash your keys, because I can probably name about 3 places right off where most people do that. So please do not do that. And I think that is it for this evening.
Thank you very much, Chief, for the advice. Appreciate it. So cutting through the Brook Bend parking lot and then hanging a sharp left on Green Street to go up, that's not how you want to get to... I'm sure everybody is at home thinking, well, I just go through the Brook Bend parking lot. I'm kidding. That's right. Yeah. Make sure there's no cops first, right? Anyway, no, thank you. Thank you, Chief. You're right. 100% right. Appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you. Comments from the mayor, item 16. All kind of little good stuff going on. I'm the bearer of good news tonight. How's that sound? Well, let me just start off with what I did today with several other council members. I know Council President Glenn joined me, and Council Member Zinner and Council Member Martin. State Comptroller, Mr. Peter Francho, was in Havre for about 3 hours a day. And his first stop was for a groundbreaking ceremony for the new Blenheim Run project that is located on Route 40, right next to Swan Creek Village, well, where the Fox Hollow Coffee Shop is and the old Bill Bateman. So, well, the ground's already been broken if you've been there lately, but a little bit. But it was kind of like, the official hard hat shovel groundbreaking. So it's a very nice project. It's going to provide about 51 units, I believe. A very,
First phase.
I'm sorry?
The first phase will be 51 units. Overall, it'll be 111 units and then 7,000 roughly square feet of commercial.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, the first stage is 51 units. And its primary purpose is to attract mixed income tenants, which I believe is something that the city needs. And some of my comments today I said is 25 years ago when I was here in Havre de Grace, a lot of my friends were renting apartments at Concord Cove right near the water for $500 a month. Now I got, single teachers I knew that I worked with. Now that's not the case. I don't know any single teachers that live here, unless they've been teaching for 20 years. We never wanted to price people out of Havre de Grace, but sometimes we're victims of our own success. And as mentioned by other council members earlier, prices downtown are getting strong. I mean, which at the same time, that's good too. Strong home prices creates a strong community. I mean, just lower crime, all that good other stuff. You can just make a whole argument all day. That's good to have good home prices in your town, not falling home prices. But at the same time, we want everyone to live here. And we want everyone to enjoy what Havre de Grace is. And I think having more units, 1-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments, just for anybody, you can use the word workforce housing, mixed income, whatever that term you want to use, for more opportunities for people to enjoy what we call home. We want everyone to live here. We're an inclusive city. So we are very happy with the company Green Street that's running this project. The design plans are beautiful. They are a very reputable company to have had projects all over the state. They're not a fly-by-night company. They're not a get-in, get-rich-quick company. They'll come here to give us a good product, and it'll stick around. So This is that new project on Route 40, and the state comptroller came up today to give us a blessing for it and say a couple words. And he also stuck around and joined us at House 5 for the Susquehanna Hose Company to read a proclamation to them for their successes and ISO 1 rating they achieved last year, and also joined us at the Color School at the Color School Museum and the Harbor of Grace. Did a couple drops. So Mr. Francho spent time at Havre de Grace, and we thank him for his time. City election is Tuesday, May 3rd, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock, and it's going to be at the gymnasium on Congress Street, also known as the old high school gymnasium. So please put that on your calendar to come vote in the city election. Now, the next couple things I'm going to talk about are going to be kind of a big deal. So we've often referred to the old high school auditorium and gymnasium as the old high school auditorium gymnasium. People call it, I mean, it was called that even when the school was there. But I don't know, I mean, I kind of like quipped a little bit and called it Civic Center, or, I mean, it's a complex. We've called it a lot of different things, and now that we are really starting to use it in earnest, I mean, from Parks and Rec to all kind of rentals that come in with athletics, now we're getting some concert series coming there, and we're selling tickets, and I'll talk about it in a second. So we've got to have a good name for it, and so we sent it to the Imagineering wing of the City Hall. I call it like the Disney thing, like where we create logos and ideas, and so we came up with a new name for the complex, and it's going to be for Sports, Theater, Arts, and Recreation. It's going to be the Star Center. So that's what we're going to refer to it now. And we're going to have a cool logo that we're going to release soon coming up. It's going to look really cool, but STAR stands for Sports, Theater, Arts, Recreation, which is everything the complex has to offer. So it's going to be the Star Center. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I really liked the Civic Center, and I was prepared to hate whatever you were about to say, but I can't because that's really good. I like that.
Well, thank you, because it's not my idea. I like that a lot. I'm going to give full props to Miss Bambi Johnson, who now works for the city, and she just said to me, Mayor, like the Civic Center is good. Because I said to Miss Johnson, I said, anyone growing up in Baltimore from way back in the day, 70s and 80s, we always remember the Civic Center was a cool place to be. You know, Ringling Brothers went every year to the Civic Center, and big bands would play there. Saw Def Leppard there once. Anyway, the point is, so the Civic Center has power, you know, if you grew up in the area. But, you know, Ms. Johnson said to me, I really feel like the word arts and theater needs to be more part of it. And she brought it up in the logo. We're working on the logo, and I'll give it to you guys. But, yeah, Sports, Theater, Arts, and Recreation, Star Center. So just want to let everybody know, because you're going to start seeing that word now after today when you get online and look for events at the Star Center. So just want to give everybody a heads up on that. And it's so new that I don't even think council knew. So I'm sorry, council, I threw it out in the last minute. But I wanted just to get the word out there, because that's what we're going to start calling it now for selling tickets. Next thing I want to talk about. Last week, we did a post on the city's website and social media that the trolley's coming. Everything's doing well with the trolley, and we released the name of the trolley, and it's called the Tide. So the new trolley program is going to be called the Tide, T-I-D-E, Ride the Tide. And so this week we're going to release the logo for the Tide, and you're going to see it here first. So there's a new logo for the Tide. It was done by a local artist, Don Starr, who owns Glyph, working in conjunction with the city. And the colors are the flag, or the colors of our flag, also represents the blue, the sea, and the moon and the sun. So all the things you would expect to see, you know, that affect, all the things that affect the Tide. So that will be the logo and the things you'll be seeing at our little trolley stops along the way. And so we'll be releasing this logo on social media this week. And at the next council meeting, we'll release our route map that we've been working on, so the public will now have access to the route map. The trolley will probably be we're shooting for the first deployment of the trolley be used as like a soft run for First Friday in May, if everything goes well. We have 4 trolleys that were delivered back around November. Apparently these trolleys had equipments produced overseas, and they were shipped to a factory in Jacksonville, Florida, somewhere in Florida, that had to be assembled, and then they were delivered here to the city of Havre. And then we had to put a few little last-minute tweaks on the trolleys, like wheels and tires and brakes. I'm joking. Now, just little teeny things just make them street legal, like washer fluid and stuff like that, just small stuff. So they're all getting checked out by MDOT, and we should be good to go. Hopefully by First Friday. Don't hold me to it, but we're shooting for First Fridays in May. But sometime in the month of May, they'll begin running their regular route, which would be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday route around the city. And when we release the map at the next council meeting, you'll know exactly where the route is. Again, this trolley is designed to bring enjoyment for families who visit our city. I mean, even for residents. I mean, if you want to hop on it, just take a nice ride around. But it's also designed to move visitors from one point to another. The trolley will definitely be stopping at collector stations wherever there's good-sized parking lots. Down at the Yacht Basin parking lot down at the Lock House Museum, the parking lot across the street where the high school used to be. So people can park, and hopefully it'll alleviate some of the parking congestion downtown. If people know they can just park in a spot and jump on a trolley and ride it around town all day. Hopefully that'll help and bring people to our city and move people around efficiently, and so they can enjoy things. And with that said, I also want to thank Mr. Woody. He mentioned earlier that Erie Street from Juniata all the way down to the Lock House has been paved. That's something we've been wanting to do for the last couple of years. We just held off on it for a while because we knew BGE was going to come in and do one of their last gas line runs on that street. So we didn't. I mean, we've been wanting to pave Erie Street for the last 3 years, that block, because we know it's a nice entrance to our city. You're coming down 155, make it right on Juniata, make a left on Erie, and you kind of get that little water view of coming to the city. And we wanted to pave it, but knowing BGE was going to replace the gas lines, we didn't want to spend all that money to finally repave it and then have a little patch of asphalt. So that's all done now. So that's done. They replaced the gas lines. Of course, now we had to wait throughout the winter for the temperatures to be right. And so today, it's been paved. So go on Erie Street and see how nice and smooth it is. Pick up a sub from Sam's if you want to, and visit the Lock House. So it's all good. So one last thing, Earth Day celebration and ribbon cutting on Friday, April 22nd at 10 o'clock at David Craig Park. Please stop by and join us. It's going to be ribbon cutting for the Living Shoreline Project. David Craig Park, April 22nd, Earth Day, 10 o'clock. We hope to see you guys there. And with that, I have no other comments. I thank council for all their support tonight on the legislation, and we're going to go to council comments. We're going to start with Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, everyone. Just a couple of things. This past week, I attended the Habitat for Humanity's wall raising down on Stokes Street. It was very exciting to see a wide group of people come there. I met one of the homeowners, and she's very excited to move into Havre de Grace with her son. They at the completion of this, I think they have one more building on that lot, and I know that they're building at another location in town too, and then they'll be looking for more opportunities within the town. They recently received a very large endowment donation. It's for the whole country, but they'll be receiving a large portion of it. So they have money and they're looking for opportunities and looking for good ideas on ways that they can help improve affordable housing within the city of Havre de Grace, but also Harford County. Really looking forward to the Lower Susquehanna Trail ribbon cutting. That is on the 9th of April. It's at 1103 Lappenham Road. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a partnership between the Lower Susquehanna Greenway and the Mason-Dixon Trail Network. It'll be a 2-mile hike after the ribbon cutting, so it'll start to connect everything, and that's really exciting. And finally, I just want to give a plug out there for Green Team and the Food Forest Workday. We still have a couple more trees that need adopters, and we'll be working on our trees, pruning them, mulching them, taking care of them, on the 10th of April and the 16th of April at 1 p.m. So if you're interested in adopting one of the trees for our food forest, we are in need of a couple more people. We're going to be planting, I believe, blueberry bushes as well on those days too. It's a great effort, and it's kind of exciting to see. The trees have been in place now, I think now for 3 or 4 years now, and they're producing a large amount of fruit throughout the summer too. So if you're interested, feel free to go over there and pick yourself a peach or an apricot, or there's plenty of plum. No, what are they? Figs, lots of figs. So thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. My comments are very short this evening. I do want to mention that the Arts Commission is moving their meeting this month. It's generally the 4th Tuesday of the month. They're moving it to the 3rd Tuesday of the month to allow for increased attendance at the Seraptimus fundraiser at the State Theater on April 26th. The Independence Day Commission has been, based on their name, I think it's self-explanatory, but they're moving up their plans for the July 4th celebration. Right now, they're focusing on securing the food vendors, doing contracts for bands, and also participants in the parade itself. And that is all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. A couple things. Number one is don't forget that Rogue Swan is playing at the Opera House this weekend. They got a vaudeville Friday and Saturday. If there are tickets left, go to the Opera House website and you can get them from there. I myself have them for Friday, so looking forward to that. My boys looking forward to that. Just a reminder that the annual Easter egg hunt is happening April 16th. It starts at 12 p.m. and it'll end at 12 p.m. and 34 seconds. Budget and Finance Committee will be meeting April 19th at 4 p.m. in the large conference room. So April 19th at 4 p.m. Casey and Carolyn and George and Stephen and anybody who wants to join is welcome to that one. And Mr. Mayor, that's it.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President, Council, citizens, admin staff. Really brief. Legion Riders are holding a poker run, so at that time. Legion Riders will be holding a poker run on April 23rd. So time to warm up your bikes, clean them off, and come on out. You can get the information for that on the Havre de Grace Legion, Joseph L. Davis Post 47 website. So come on out, do the poker run. It's stopping at several different American Legion locations, so it'll be time to share some camaraderie with other members. That's it for the night.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Good evening, Councilmember Ringsacker.
Sir. I apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mayor, Council, the Wage and Benefit Commission report will be delivered at the next meeting. I'd like to thank personally Mr. Chris Ritchie and Fred Wills for the yeoman's work that they put into that report. The Friends of the Library will be moving books with the Boy Scouts on April 29th from 4:30 to 6:30. So if you want to come down there and hurt your back, come on and help us move some books. Don't exactly know where we're moving them now. We have a different location than before. So I'll be doing that with the Boy Scouts on from Troop 965 that date. Election Day, it is unopposed, but I will be out there from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. again. And just come out perfect time to come talk to your elected officials. You know, we'll all be out there throughout the day. And at 7 a.m., if you come out there, I will have breakfast. Because I've gotten into the habit of making bacon and eggs every morning on my grill. So I'll have that ready for Jason when he comes back before work. And just ask everybody to please, again, watch out for motorcycles. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ringsacher. CP.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. I won't repeat what the mayor said about Peter Francho's visit today, but I will say that if you listen to his comments today and at prior visits to the city of Havre de Grace, he's a true friend of the Havre de Grace community. I mean, and it was a great day, and you know, congratulations to the Color School and Susquehanna Hose Company for their recognition, well deserved. Route 40 Gateway update. I've been in continued discussions with Curtis Beulah and Shane Grimm. Efforts to continue to improve that gateway coming to Havre de Grace from Aberdeen. Some of the dilapidated buildings are targeted for demolition. There was one building they said that they're kind of boarding up. I did send a note to the county council today that said, if there's no true use for that building going forward, why board it up? Why don't we just tear it down? Because again, you board it up, and it's just nothing but an eyesore coming into the gateway of Havre de Grace. So I'm waiting to hear back from them, and stay tuned for that. While my service to the city council has come to an end, I got to give a shout out to the city staff. No matter what the issue has been that has come my way, when I reach out to the city staff, I get nothing but the outstanding service, no matter who it is. And I'm getting a lot of positive comments from the residents and the voters that, you know, as I elevate their concerns, they get a quick response back. And, you know, they're kind of like my second family. I'm truly going to miss them while I'm gone. But the residents have to know that what they do day in and day out truly serves as an inspiration to other municipalities throughout the state. And I really enjoyed working with them, and I wish them nothing but the best in all future endeavors. Last but not least, I'll end it on my Warrior Proud moments. I talked to Council Member Ringsacher tonight, and he ran into a guy by the name of Scott Berth. Scott's daughter Madison was in a wrestling tournament in Pennsylvania this weekend, and I think it was this weekend. And she placed third against the boys. She placed second against all the girls. I mean, she is one magnificent wrestler. She's doing great things, and the Warriors have a lot to look forward to as she moves up the ladder. Spring sports have kicked off, and it's they're in high gear. I want to give a shout out to the tennis team. The varsity beat Elkton 8-3. They beat Edgewood 8-3. And they beat Joppatown 10-1. So JV also beat Edgewood 3-2. From the lacrosse side of the house, the girls varsity beat Northeast 23-2 and Perryville 16-6. Girls JV beat Perryville 16-4 and Hartford Tech 5-2. Boys varsity beat Perryville 12-5 and Hartford Tech 13-8. From boys baseball, the varsity baseball team beat North Hartford 10-9, Edgewood 21-3, Elkton 15-4, and Aberdeen 16-4. The boys JV beat Elkton 17-7. And as far as the girls softball team, this past week, they won 3 games. They beat C. Melton Wright 25-2, Aberdeen 12-0, and Hartford Tech 7-5. So from the Warriors standpoint, the teams are really stepping up. They're really doing a great job. And I got to say, the baseball team and the softball team, keep in mind, they're a very young team. You know, boys baseball won 4 games this week with a young team. So the future's bright for Warrior sports. And I think the best way to end it, Mr. Mayor, is to say Warrior Proud, Grace on top. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Council President. We're going to go to item 18, adjournment. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Council President, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion to adjourn City Council meeting for April 4th, 2022 carries 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is 8:46. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. Be safe, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. And happy Easter.